The movie starts with two siblings named Becky and Cal. Becky was 6 months pregnant and they were on their way to giving the baby up for adoption. They pulled the car near a field of tall grass because Becky was not feeling good. Suddenly they heard a boy's voice who was calling for help. Now, a woman from the grass field started yelling at the boy. It turns out that the boy's name was Tobin. She warns the boy to stop making noise and says that he will hear you. Cal thinks that Tobin is near him, so he goes inside the tall grass to save the boy. Becky tried to call the police, but the call could not go through because of the bad network. During all of this, she has lost Cal, and they get separated. Cal tries to follow Tobin's voice, but it seems like he's running away from him. Now, he decides to follow the voice of Becky so they can unite. He followed Becky's voice and was about to meet her, but somehow he missed her. Becky's voice seems to come from his right and from his left, but she doesn't move an inch. Now Cal started to feel that something is wrong. So they began to jump to determine each other's location. The first jump shows that the distance between them was only 20 feet, but when they jump the second time, Becky is scared because Cal is very far away from her. So Cal starts to run while calling Becky's name. While running, Cal finds the body of a dead dog. Both of them get scared because the grass field is somehow shifting their location. Becky gets tired, so she rests. She hears that Cal is still shouting her name. Suddenly a man comes out of the grass. He tells Becky that his name is Ross and Tobin is his son. He also tells her that he is also trying to find Tobin and his mother named Natalie. Ross convinces Becky to follow him and says he will help her find her brother. Cal is still looking for Becky shouting her name, but he doesn't answer, so he breaks down. Suddenly Tobin comes to him and tells him that the field doesn't move dead things around, so it's easier to find dead things. He also tells Cal that he came here by following a man's voice just like Cal came here by following his voice, and Becky will die soon. When Cal questions him about how he knows about his sister, Tobin says that the grass knows everything and the rock teaches people how to hear the grass. Tobin says to Cal that he will take him to Becky. Ross and Becky talked about the baby, but when she sees some drugs and hairs on the ground, Ross suddenly disappears. Tobin takes Cal to the middle of the field, where they find a large rock with strange carvings. Tobin tells Cal that the rock will help him find Becky, just like it helped Tobin find him. Cal is about to touch the rock, but he hears Becky screaming and runs to help her. Now we see Travis, who stops at a gas station. It turns out that he is Becky's ex-boyfriend and was looking for them. He finds Cal's car near the church and stops there on his way. After watching the car's condition, he understands that it's been abandoned for quite some time. He finds Becky's book on the road and decides to look for her in the grass. Travis started walking in the direction of the sun on his way. He knots grass to mark his path. As he continues to walk, the grass knot opens automatically, and soon he realizes that he is not walking in the direction of the sun, and the grass field is constantly shifting his location. Now it's getting dark, Travis gets exhausted and lies down. He hears a noise, and we see that Tobin comes to him. Tobin tells him to be quiet, and they hear other people's voices. Tobin explains to him that the voices are from parallel universes where people get stuck in the same tall grass, and they shouldn't be worried about it. Travis gets confused, but it seems like Tobin knows him, and he also gets confused that Travis doesn't recognize him. As they talk, Tobin tells some facts about Travis and tells him that he's looking for Becky. Tobin decides to show him where Becky is. They start running through the grass. Tobin points out a body, says it's Becky, and vanishes in thin air. Travis finds a necklace that confirms it's her. The following morning, Travis wanders in the grass when he hears a family talking. He recognizes Tobin's voice and starts calling them for help. Now we see that Natalie and Ross are also there. Their dog runs into the grass, and the whole family goes inside the grass after the dog. Travis tells them not to come in, but it's too late. Because Ross was separated from Tobin and Natalie, so he tries to find them, but he fails. He reaches a place where there is no grass, and at the center of this clearing, there is an ominous rock. Now we see outside of the field there are Cal and Becky. Like before, Cal pulls up the car on the side of the road. Travis hears Cal and Becky looking for Tobin and trying to find each other. Travis yells and tells them that he has been here for many days. Tobin shouts that his dog died, and Travis says that the field does not move dead things, so they can meet at Tobin's location. Tobin keeps talking, and by following his voice, they all meet up. After meeting, Travis explains that he came here after them, but somehow they arrived after him. He tells them that what he is saying is hard to believe, but asks them to trust him. Now we come to know that they are trapped in some kind of time loop. Becky feels like someone is keeping an eye on them, so they decide to keep walking, and Tobin gets on Travis's shoulders to get a better sense of the area. He saw a building, and they started running towards it. In the way, Becky forgives Travis, and she lets him touch her belly. Cal doesn't seem to like it. Now they get a call. The caller turns out to be Becky. The voice is distorted and is telling her to not let Cal hurt Travis and not to make the same mistake, and then it cuts off. After this, they keep walking, and someone is watching them from the grass. After some time of walking, Becky starts bleeding and faints right there. In the state of unconsciousness has she visions of the baby wrapped in grass. Ross comes out from the grass and gives CPR to Becky. Ross tells them that he can get them out, but the path will not be easy. They tell him they are going towards a building, and when Tobin gets on Travis's shoulders, he sees that the building is not there anymore, but Ross tells them that he knows the way out. So they start to follow him. After some time, they arrive at the clearing in the middle of grass, with the ominous rock in the center. Now Ross explains that it's been here since before the Ice Age, and it is the center of the center. Becky snaps and calls him out. He advises them to touch the rock, and they will know the way out immediately. Cal goes ahead to touch the stone, but scared Natalie comes out of the grass, stops them, and tells Ross to stay away. She tells the group that he's lying. After she sees Becky, she gets shocked because she saw her dead. Ross tells them not to believe her because she's not okay. Becky sees a vision of grass people and Ross, who no longer looks human. Becky tells everyone to leave and take Natalie with them, but Ross threatens them to touch the rock. Travis grabs Ross, but he overpowers him, breaks his arm. He then takes Natalie and crushes her skull in front of his son. Now they run back into the grass, and Tobin notices the dog, and they all run after him and arrive at the building that they were looking. They go in and secure the building. Cal tries to help Travis with his arm and blame him for everything because he doesn't want to have a baby, so they were going to give the baby for adoption, and now we are stuck here in this mess. Now we come to know that Cal loves his sister a bit more than his sister, and when Travis tells it to him, Cal starts beating him. Ross has come there, so they go to the roof. They remember that they saw this building from the road. They notice that the road is only a few yards away. They notice that the dog has made it to the road. Now, Travis slips, and Cal drops him instead of pulling him up. Ross came to the roof, so they tried to run from him. Tobin runs into the grass, and when Becky asks about Travis, Cal tells her to forget about him, and she realizes that Cal has done something to him. So she runs away from there, and Ross captures Cal. He tells Cal that you can run through the grass, but you cannot hide. He begins to suffocate him. Cal died many times before this at the same place. Travis wakes up and goes into the grass to find Becky. They cannot find each other, but he confesses to Becky that he wants to have a family with her. Suddenly Travis hears the screams of Becky because Ross has found her. As Ross pushes her to the ground, she finds a pair of scissors on the ground and stabs it in the eye of Ross. Heavy rain pours, and Becky gets surrounded by the grass creatures. They bring her to the grass circle with a strange rock inside its center. Now, she calls her past self, telling her not to make the same mistakes again. From the carvings on the stone, it seems the grass creatures want her to give birth to a premature baby and use her baby as a sacrifice. Suddenly, the ground starts sinking in, and we see that big roots are coming out of the stone, and the people are stuck to the ground and crying. After this, Becky wakes up and Cal gives her some water to drink. He shows her the baby. He gives her food. When she asks what she's eating, he says it's just grass, but it was not grass. It turns out that it was not Cal, it was Ross. Sometime later, Travis finally comes there and finds Becky there unconscious. Tobin tells him that Ross has killed the baby. He fears that this loop will never stop, his father will keep killing them over and over again. Travis challenges Ross to come out and fight. Two of them start fighting. Ross picks a sharp bone from the ground and stabs Travis. Ross picks Tobin and tries to make him touch the rock forcefully, but Becky regains her consciousness and stabs right in Ross's other eye. Travis starts hitting Ross's head to the rock and strangles him with grass. But he notices that Becky has died. In anger, Travis touches the stone, the sky starts turning red, and he feels that the grass is wrapping him around. The whole field becomes clear to him. He tells Tobin to follow him. He gives him Becky's necklace and tells him to stop Becky from entering the field. Now he pushes Tobin out of the grass field. Tobin wakes up in the church. When he goes out, he sees Cal's car parked on the side of the road, and a second Tobin was calling for help from the grass field. Tobin goes to them and requests them to leave. He shows Becky the necklace like hers and tells her that Travis gave it to him. Becky shows it to Cal, and they decide to leave. Becky decides to keep the baby. After this, the loop stops and movies end here.